what is your role with Salome? What do you feel is your responsibility coming alongside of him?
Well, I've always seen my role as the pastor's wife. I'm there to support him, and and I think that's my biggest role, because sometimes the pastor gets a lot of. I don't think people realize um, the things that come to the pastor that he has to deal with in his mind, and plus not counting, getting ready for each Sunday, getting ready for Bible study, getting ready for a lot of things. And as a pastor's wife, my role is to support him. Now I know that Saturday I don't plan anything big, because that's his main day, getting prepared. He gets prepared every day, but finalizing things, I know not to, plan or, and usually before the pandemic, I would just kind of disappear on Saturdays, let him have his quiet time and things like that. Um, so one thing the pandemic did allow for me to do is to do some work in a spare room, to give him a place where he can go, because we didn't have that. He'd be at the kitchen table or in the dining room table and stuff. So, and I would just leave. But I've set up a place where he can go in a room and close the door. He has his desk and his own little office space now. But I mainly to do that, to support him and observe things and give him information that he may not see. People come and tell me things to get to him. And I'm not saying that he tells me everything, because he doesn't. I'm not expressing that. But just be his support for that. And I think that works. That works for me. And hopefully it works for the church.
Another thing, women see things different from us, from men. And she'll say, "Did you see that?" I'm like, "See what?" Sometimes some things just go right over, and she'll catch it and she'll say, you need to see this, and I'm like, "Oh, okay."
And I remind him of things, have you talked to someone? Have you checked on someone?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot," or he gets busy. And so I try to remind him of things to, don't forget to call so-and-so, don't forget to check on, that kind of thing. So.
Help me.
All right. So anybody my age will remember you from working at Person High School as a guidance counselor. So tell me about your years there at Person, the work that you did, and the interaction with students that you had over that course of time.
I had a good experience at Person, up and down with, issues and administrative kind of things, but always with the student, because I always felt like the day that I cannot enjoy have that connection with the students was the day I needed to leave. Never felt that about the kids in any way. I always loved that connection with them. And if I miss anything, that's the one thing that I do miss. I don't miss the politics of teaching. I don't miss the changes as soon as you get comfortable with one thing, they wanted to switch. I'm like, we just started that. Why can't we just finish something, So that was the one thing that I didn't like, was the constant changes that we, did. If it's not, I had worked with a principal the ones that was just said, if it ain't broke, don't. Why you got to fix it all the time? And but the kids, it was always good. I always enjoyed that. And I see saw one of my students, y'all have short memories. I don't remember, it's hard for me with names. I may not remember names, but I remember the faces. So I saw one of my students and I asked him, he runs a restaurant in town. And I said, "Do you remember me?" He said, yeah, you look familiar. I told him, he said, oh yeah, Miss Johnson. Oh yeah, I remember. And then they start talking about what they remember in our connections with, so I enjoy talking with them. I enjoy what I love to see for a student. I used to love to see them come in young, innocent in ninth grade and walk out that senior year, young men and women, hopefully feeling confident. Most of them, I thought, did. Confident about themselves. May not be sure where they're headed. And even if they did know, they still don't know where they're headed. Okay? And because when I talked with him and I said, you didn't think you were going to do this, did you? He said, no, ma'am, I didn't. So, and I always felt I know we pushed them to try to figure out, want to know, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But most of them really don't. They may have some idea, but all that has to be developed, And but I used to like to see the maturity of how they come in so innocent, and then that senior year, I enjoyed senior year the most. Working with seniors and getting them to that very end, and some of them we didn't know until that day that they were going to mark. Oh Lord! And then that feeling once they said they had graduated and we walk off that stage, that was the best feeling in the world. Getting them through. Because getting them through so they can start their life. Their life doesn't really start until after then, when they decide whether they want to go to military, to school, or wherever. But and I love to know what they're doing now. I love to see, and that's one reason why I look on Facebook, because I want to see what kids are doing, and most of them I think are doing pretty well, with themselves if they would just give themselves time. And but no, I enjoy working with the kids in the school and school system. I told Wayne the other day, I don't know if I know anybody over the person now. Everybody I knew is retired. There may be a few people that are still there, but most of them are gone. And so, but that's life. You got a new bunch coming in. When I retired, my parents were getting older. My dad passed away in 2018, and I retired in 2014. And so I took care of him after that, and now I'm in the process of taking care of my mother. My mother is just turned 92, and so I would have. It was time for me to retire, and then because of family and taking care of them, I would have had to retire anyway at that point. But I miss the interaction. I miss the coworkers, being with them and talking with them, and when you're retired, you're limited with every now and then I'll tell Wayne, I need some, he'll be doing something. I said, I need to get with some adults.